Her name is Ivonne Ayala, a 20-year-old Ecuadorian who decided at a very young age to jump into the world of technology. She taught herself programming, pushed into artificial intelligence, and became a very successful autodidact. Because of that drive, she entered to the international competition TCS CodeVita and finished third among the best programmers in the world, representing Ecuador against 350,000 competitors. All of that came from her initiative and a real desire to improve the world. How did she do it? What can we learn from such a young programmer who learned to code so well that she now uses programming languages efficiently to work in AI? Let's go!
Muchas gracias. Claro, este es un logro único. No lo llamaría logro único solo para mí, sino también un logro como tal para el país y sobre todo para todos los jóvenes que al igual que yo están luchando por sus sueños, no solo en la carrera que yo sigo, sino en todas las demás. Creo en la competitividad y creo que todos podemos.
I want to highlight this part of the interview. The competition included participants from 90 countries. That's no small thing. Being chosen to represent Ecuador implies more than personal merit. It often requires some level of diplomatic coordination or national support to register and send a contestant. It's humble and kind of her to dedicate that effort, and while the state may have played an intermediary role at times, the merit is largely Ivonne's. That's worth emphasizing.
¿Cómo se involucra Ivonne Ayala en este mundo de computadoras? ¿Cuáles fueron las influencias que marcaron su aproximación a esta instancia de tecnologías, de cambios constantes, de descubrimientos?
Parte, la verdad, por un lado de mi papá. Mi papá era muy metido en los ámbitos de la tecnología. Me invitaba a mí a ser parte del Campus Party con él en aquellos tiempos y creo que después se mantuvo esa pasión. Siempre la tecnología está cambiando, nunca es lo mismo, siempre varía, siempre hay nuevos descubrimientos, hay nuevos temas por estudiar. Entonces una carrera que te ofrezca tantos cambios, tantas áreas en donde uno puede aprender y innovar, creo que ese fue el golpe a mí que me hizo decidir por este tipo de estudios.
This interview moment is important because many young people don't think like Ivonne. I know plenty of people who spend most of their time going out, smoking, drinking, experimenting with drugs, and living a cycle without pause. Even while studying demanding degrees in health or engineering, we treat that as normal. But when you think logically, it's strange. Aren't doctors, nurses, and engineers supposed to work to improve society's quality of life? To create technologies and that let us work better or lead to discoveries in physics, biology, or medicine? Instead, we often use our incredible intellect on meaningless stuff that wastes time and accelerates our decline. It's a waste of resources and time that could help us build a future with fewer worries and less unhappiness. If more people had Ivonne's interest and scientific upbringing, we'd probably be much further ahead, maybe colonizing planets, inventing technologies never seen before, or making breakthroughs in biotechnology and medicine, biomedicine. Imagine those advances happening faster without so many people wasting time on social media 24/7 or on harmful substances.
Ahora, ¿cuáles son las lecciones que le dejan a Ivonne el haber logrado este tercer lugar en una competencia internacional?
Yo creo que el principal mensaje o lo que más me cambió en mentalidad fue no creer que por tal vez no ser la mejor, tal vez no nacer dotada, no puedo llegar a un puesto tan alto. El esfuerzo realmente es clave en este tipo de competencias, y no solo diría competencias de programación, sino en todo ámbito. ¿Por qué? Porque uno decide creer en que puede llegar lejos. Si yo parto con una mentalidad donde digo tal vez no lo voy a lograr o tengo muchas dudas, yo misma me estoy poniendo una barrera. Pero si creemos que podemos llegar lejos, de que somos capaces, que podemos dar esa última gota de esfuerzo, podemos llegar muy lejos.
Technology moves in leaps, and sometimes people fall behind. Why? Simple. We're not putting in the effort to generate the interest needed to build things. We are the most informed generation in history, yet many don't use that advantage to create a stable personal economy or become independent, to avoid being a financial burden on our parents. That's tragic, given the information and tools we have at our disposal.
En el mundo de la tecnología, Ivonne, el éxito depende únicamente del talento y de las ganas que se ponga, o es esencial tener redes, insumos, accesos a tecnología que para la mayoría son privilegios.
Claro, y eso nos pasa a todos, inclusive a mí, pero también hoy en día cada vez hay más opciones para entrar en ámbitos de la tecnología. Una de las más sencillas es cuando hablamos de programación, nosotros necesitamos poder computacional, lo de siempre, para correr un programa. Y a veces el tener una computadora potente o dentro de la gama alta es algo que no podemos tener. Entonces tenemos empresas como Google que nos permiten por un plan creo que de $7 a $10 tener acceso a GPUs, CPUs de ellos. Hay varias opciones por ese lado. En otro campo que bueno, eso a mí me encanta es que la información tiende a ser gratuita. Hay un montón de videos en internet, hay un montón de libros gratis en internet. Entonces uno no tiene como no se privilegia de esa información, sino que está a acceso de los estudiantes. Yo así también estudié. Y claro, hay que mencionar la nueva herramienta hoy en día, que es la inteligencia artificial, que para búsqueda de información y que sea un tutor personalizable es excelente.
Think of revolutionary minds, physicists like Hawking and physicians like Hippocrates, mathematicians like Baldur. They were limited by the technology of their time and by political and social forces. Consider Baldur. Born in Havana, Cuba in 1906, he initially studied law but found his passion in teaching math. He founded a prestigious school in Milano that served thousands of students and wrote Baldur's algebra in 1941 using only a typewriter. In 1959, the revolution stripped him of his property, and Raúl Castro even ordered his arrest, but Camilo Cienfuegos defended Baldur. After Cienfuegos died in 1960, Baldur left Cuba, lived in Mexico, then the United States, and eventually settled in Miami, where he died in 1978. His life was full of sacrifice and perseverance. So, question spins in my head. If our history has hundreds of brilliant minds who changed how we see the world, why do we believe that only a few can achieve that today? The most famous names are known, yes, but they are not unique in potential. We've always been surrounded by brilliant people, we just rarely give them the conditions to thrive. As a species, we're remarkable, but we limit ourselves through social structures and laziness, wasting much of our potential. If there had never been figures like Einstein or Hawking, humanity might have been much worse off. I'm not suggesting everyone should work 24/7 without sunlight or social life. Tesla himself sacrificed a lot and worked obsessively, limited by finances and others stealing his ideas. Not everyone will be Tesla, but dedicating focused time to a topic, being even 8 hours a day, could drive huge advances in humanity. Imagine concentrating on the human brain, string theory, wormholes, longevity, or biotechnology. With real effort, curiosity, creativity, and imagination like Einstein had, we could discover so much more.
En estos tiempos, Ivonne, ¿qué es más importante? ¿Aprender programación o pensamiento crítico sobre la tecnología?
Creo que va de la mano. Principalmente, obviamente, el pensamiento crítico y también, como mencionaba antes, un pensamiento creativo. Cuando uno programa no es que se sienta ahí directo al computador, sino pensamos en cómo atacar un problema, cómo pensar una solución. Y eso está en nosotros. No hay un libro que nos diga, tienes que hacer esto, esto y el otro para resolver este problema. Sino nos dan todas las herramientas para tener ciertos puntos, agarrar ciertos esquemas, algoritmos e implementarlos en nuestra solución. Yo aún considero que es importante saber programar, inclusive de que tengamos un punto donde la inteligencia artificial ya lo haga por nosotros, pero siento que nunca va a haber ese reemplazo a un código por un ser humano. ¿Por qué? Porque todavía nosotros tenemos la capacidad de atacar la complejidad del software, que es cuando nos referimos a programación, y eso es algo que todavía la inteligencia artificial no lo hace muy bien.
In the interview, Ivonne talks about the importance of critical and creative thinking, essential for solving problems that have no known solution. In programming, AI is already supporting us with tools like ChatGPT, but for now, it mainly automates repetitive tasks. It reduces automated work so humans can focus on higher level problems. General Artificial Intelligence, or AGI, however, could be the highest invention in human history, something that might transform research such as cancer, which is still the world's second leading cause of death. I'm not just saying this, sciences. A World Health Organization report from 2022 estimated about 9.7 million cancer deaths, ranking it second globally. Statistically, 1 in 9 men and 1 in 12 women die of cancer in their lifetime. So why haven't we found a cure? Mainly due to a lack of resources and technology breakthroughs in genetics, late diagnosis, and human delays in research. We're over 8 billion people across hundreds of countries, with significant expenditures, yet only a few hundred clinical trials proceed each year. If humans worked like machines, without rest or procrastination, maybe within a couple of years we'd be much closer to a cure. But humans aren't designed that way. Who might be designed to work tirelessly? AGI.
Meet the competition.
It's beautiful.
You have to guess. What's it look like?
Like
doing?
it's thinking. I mean, this could be it's not a human mind, man. I mean, look at this. They're like neurons firing.
Down instructor's lab, I saw some fairly advanced robotics work. They deep sixed the data, but I gotta guess he was knocking on a very particular door.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial General Intelligence. An AGI would study, learn, and work without holidays or depression, performing targeted tasks as if you were telling it instructions in plain language. Will AGI become a real-life Terminator? Theoretically, no. Not if it's trained ethically and for human development rather than destruction. That's a much longer discussion. If you want, I'll make a video about it.
Usted, Ivonne, ¿hacia dónde piensa apuntar? ¿Cuáles son sus proyectos, sus objetivos en este mundo de tecnología donde hay pues un sinnúmero de opciones?
Claro, en mi caso, principalmente es terminar la carrera. Soy una persona que cree mucho en la excelencia, entonces mi principal objetivo ahorita es graduarme con honores como summa cum laude en mi universidad, la Escuela Politécnica Nacional, y creo que para un futuro estaría interesada en ser parte de la nueva investigación de inteligencia artificial. Es un campo complejo que ya se está investigando, que es la inteligencia artificial general, pero siento de que no importa que tal vez estoy un poco atrasada, sí puedo llegar a esa investigación y ser parte de un nuevo descubrimiento.
Back to the interview, some people said Ivonne's patriotic dream to advance AI in Ecuador is naive. They argue that as a third world country, Ecuador doesn't have the resources. But blaming it only on being a developing country is simplistic. Problems are always connected: social, political, economic. Look at China. Once extremely poor in 1949, it became one of the most influential countries in the world through long-term strategy and investment. Cuba, meanwhile, has suffered a scarcity. Context and policy matter. I'll explain why I'm skeptical that Ecuador can develop AGI right now. There is very little national interest in such projects and no sufficient resources. Without state investment or in international private partnerships to attract investment, it becomes nearly impossible. The country faces many pressing problems that act like a lethal disease. News shows constant crises over the last few days. These issues drain public resources, work from health and law enforcement and anti-drug operations, and put the country into debt. Even though President Daniel Noboa is a younger leader trying to confront drug trafficking and corruption and has captured and extradited a high-profile criminal like Jose Macias Villamar, aka Fito, Ecuador still faces enormous systemic problems that block big tech projects. That said, Ivonne's drive to contribute to AGI is admirable. I just hope she seeks opportunities abroad or works with established institutions that have the infrastructure to develop such projects. That is the realistic path to bringing research benefits back to Ecuador. Otherwise, aiming to build AGI from scratch at home risks being an unrealistic dream, unless she focuses on practical localized applications, for example educational tools, which could attract funding and partnerships. So, here's a future with more AGIs and technological progress, maybe one day enabling a cure for arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis that affects my grandmother or anyone else. With that hope, I say goodbye. Big hug, take care, and see you next time.